Bonjour. Aujourd'hui, c'est le vlog des 475. Whatever. Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the pre-dawn world that is teaching English in France. A little bit of a headache. I have to work today. It's funny because I expected it to be really rainy by this point. I even had a video that I thought I'd do sometime soon about umbrella culture in Paris because they love their umbrellas here. Kind of like they love their scarves. It's not raining at all. Like, it was really rainy this summer, comparably, and now it's all dry most of the time. Which is fine. It's nice. It's not that I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all. I'm just saying, what's the world? The world's changing. The world's changing. Anyways, I've got to go. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. And if you have extra sleep to pass my way, I'll take it because I'm way behind, and I'm gonna get better about it. It's gonna happen. I've taught English in France twice now, 3 times. This is my 3rd time teaching, but this is my 2nd program, I guess you could say, effectively. And the first time that I've actually enjoyed it. And so far I am actually enjoying it. It's been good. The other 2 times I've done it, I did it in Nice and I did it in Paris as well. Actually in a place called Sarcelles, which is just outside of the city, just north of here. Kind of a rough neighborhood actually, but it was a good experience. I just didn't like it at all. And so coming into this job, I was a little bit worried that I wouldn't enjoy this either, and thankfully I've been disproven. But if you're interested in teaching in France and you don't have a visa, you can actually get a visa to teach English here. I'll tell you a little bit about that. If you're European and you're a native English speaker, like let's say you're from Ireland, you're kind of set, it feels like. There are a lot of opportunities here for teaching English. Machine coffee. The jobs are very different too. Like between the 3 that I've had, 2 of them are very similar because they're through the same program and basically had the same responsibilities. This one is completely different. Like today, I'm actually just listening to presentations, asking questions and grading them based on how they present what they present. Well, how they present what they present more than anything. And then of course, grammar, how they speak, blah, 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 put down a grade, and that's it. It's actually fairly straightforward and by and large fairly enjoyable. The last one was really boring, but a lot of times, like at least last year when I did this, or like 5 months ago, whatever, their presentations were on really interesting engineering projects or on countries, like some really interesting things I actually learned stuff from. This one, I think I learned something, not really. It was a quality assurance thing that was, yeah, they did fine, but it was not that interesting. So it just kind of depends. Well, that was boring. They all gave pretty much exactly the same presentation, or at least a presentation on the same thing. They were different. There were unique bits, different methods to the madness. Anyways, actually the only real difficulty is that I haven't eaten enough today, which I know comes as no surprise. Makes it hard to concentrate a little bit though. So I'm gonna head back into Paris now. I'm not in Paris, I'm in a town called Nanterre, which is just outside of the city, past La Défense, which if you know anything about Paris, you know is well outside the city already. So I'll head back into the city. Now I think I'll go to the Peloton, get some work done, and then go to bed, maybe. We'll see. I got a little bit of sleep last night though, so that's not as much of a worry. Back to the English teaching thing. My first 2 English teaching jobs were with the English assistantship program. So you can be an English assistant. If you think about coming to France, teaching English, it's a really good entry point. It's its own visa, it's with the French government, it's guaranteed work. It's not a lot of work, you won't make much money, but it's a really good way to get your foot in the door, get some experience, and also just live in France, work on your French. Overall, not bad. And the expectations are really low. Like when you do it too, you're not responsible for any classes, you just get plugged in. You're more of a conversationalist and you only work 10 to 12 hours a week, depending on the teachers you have and what the situation is. So that is a really good program, but you have to apply in the winter for the following fall. I can dig up a link and I can put it in the description below for those of you who might be interested in that. When you're here, or if you have the ability to work here legally, there are a lot of other options as well. job I had was in Nice as an assistant, teaching in a technical school. It was a technical high school, bunch of engineers. I keep ending up in technical schools actually, but now that I think about it. Really nice kids, really nice staff as well. Definitely had some awkward moments. A couple of the staff were a little bit on the awkward side. It's gonna happen. I remember one of the teachers sitting down and constantly interrupting me in the middle of whatever lesson he'd asked me to give. Not to like add anything to the class, but usually just to tell me a joke. And usually they were really uncomfortable, really sexual jokes. In front of the class, he'd just sit on the desk facing me with his back to the students and tell me some horrible joke. But aside from that, most of the time it was decent. The thing about the assistantship job is that it's really more of a cultural ambassadorship. You're not really coming to be a teacher, even though it is teaching experience. You're really coming to experience France and to bring your culture here as well. So that's kind of more what it's geared toward, which is really what I was interested in more than anything. I wanted to be in France. Oh no, jackhammers. Similarly, when I came to Sarcelles, also I taught in a school that was just a little bit rougher because it's kind of a rougher neighborhood. But I really just wanted a visa to live in France and be here for a while. While I was working with Mercy Ships, actually. We'll take a break here. All right, I put in a couple hours worth of work, and I'm really hungry. It's amazing how much energy your brain burns when you're putting it through its paces. It's kind of interesting because I'm using Upwork for this contract. Never actually used Upwork before, but they have like a time counter so you can actually start it while you're working, and the annoying thing is it takes screenshots while you're working, which makes sense because it's holding you accountable to actually be working while you're claiming to be working. So it makes perfect sense, but it's annoying because then it's like, oh gosh, when is the thing gonna take a screenshot? I'm kind of worried the whole time. But what's nice about it is it actually has kept me really on task. Hard to be, you just don't get distracted, you just keep working. So I just put in like 2 hours and 10 minutes of solid work, which has been very productive. I think I've written about 4,000 words in this lesson plan that I'm creating. That said, it's eaten up some serious brain calories. So I'm gonna walk on over to Clark Dog and get a hot dog. The downside is because I'm wearing these shoes, I can't ride a bike because I don't want to scrape up the top of the shoes. It's a nice long, slow walk, but at least it'll get some exercise. So yeah, anyways, back to the English teaching stuff. So the English teaching that I used to do, the assistantship stuff, it was kind of boring because you would go out, you had to do like your full commute to teach like 1, maybe 2 classes, and then you were done. You go home. Always felt like a huge waste of time. The other thing that was really annoying about it was that you kind of had to do the same lesson, at least I did, over and over and over again, because my teachers that I was working with wanted their students to all get the same material, but you never saw a whole class at once, and you only ever saw them every 2 weeks, maybe. They'd split a class, and you'd see half of that class week A, the other class week B, and then they wanted you to give that to like all the classes you were teaching, so you ended up teaching the exact same lesson 10 times in a week, and then again the next week, so you teach it like 20 times over 2 weeks, and then you would start another lesson that you would do again 20 times. So even if you're playing a game like Mafia, which is a great game to get kids talking, for example, you would play Mafia for 2 weeks straight, and oh my gosh, was it terrible. So that kind of stuff I didn't like, at least. It wasn't that engaging. The students weren't terribly engaged. They weren't the best English students. They were nice kids. They were really nice kids. Didn't really care too much for English, the ones that I was teaching. So that made it a little bit harder as well. But again, the real point I was there was, it was just a way to make a little bit of money and be able to legally stay in France for a year and experience it. And that is how I got my foot in the door, living in Nice in particular. And then when I made my first trip up to Paris from Nice, I was like, this is the experience that I was looking for. I want to live here. And I fell in love with this city. And obviously the rest is history on that front. Phone died on the way back. I was having a nice phone call with my dad and it died. The other job that I have right now is completely different. So where the assistantship jobs were basically me going to a high school for a couple of hours a day and sitting around doing my job half the time. In Nice, I pretty much always worked, whereas in Sarcelles, I hardly ever worked because like my head teacher got sick and then nobody knew what to do with me. And then they would kind of look at me like, aren't you supposed to be doing something? But we're not willing to tell you what to do, so you figure it out. And then the kids just wouldn't show up because the teachers never sent the kids to me. So half the time I literally sat in an empty classroom with nothing to do, which is when I hand wrote this book right here, which is unreleased and will probably never be released. It's a history of magic in my world. Hand wrote that because I had nothing else to do, literally just sitting there doing it. This job is different. This job is like a very strongly set class schedule, go out, teach in the morning or in the afternoon or both, walking students through what seems to be a very rigorously set plan. And it's been really good. I've really enjoyed it so far. I like it a lot because there is that structure that's given, and then you have some freedom to work within it and to do whatever is necessary to help the kids that you're working with to advance their English, but at the same time, you're not having to reinvent the wheel. Like, they've got a structure. They're like, this is what we want. This is the result we want. This is where we want these guys to get within your class. And then you do it. And I've really enjoyed it so far. The people I'm working with all seem really nice. The students generally seem really nice as well. And they're much more interested. The kids that I was working with in high schools before, not interested at all. They couldn't really care less to be in my class. These guys, however, a lot of them are actually being paid to be there. Like, they're there for their work, their jobs, they're engineers, they're learning, they're advancing a degree and working in a business, either as an intern or actually working. And so there's an added incentive for them to be good students, which is really good. They're generally really, really nice. And a lot of them have a decent level. It's just been fun. I've really enjoyed it so far. It's been a good environment overall. So, and it's a nice change, especially as the weather shifts. It's nice not to be on a bike out in the freezing cold. And it's not that much farther away. It's the opposite direction from the Peloton, but it's been a really good change. So that's kind of my experience in teaching English in France. If you are interested in teaching English in France or just getting a job in France, people ask me about this all the time, so I figure I might as well say. If you're an English speaker who's legal to work in France, the easiest entry-level jobs are going to be teaching English in like a lower level institute or like one-on-one tutoring. But then babysitting, if you're a girl, is another good option because people are always looking for English-speaking babysitters. And of course, for either men or women, working in a bar is actually a really good option as well. If you're the type of person who's upbeat and ready to hang out and pour drinks all night, go to like a Scottish, Irish, or Canadian pub, and you're gonna have a pretty good chance there as well. If you're not yet legal to work, like you're an American, let's say, you're definitely not legal to work on your own unless you have dual citizenship or something like that. But if you're an American, the best options are going to be to get like the assistantship visa that gets you here. It's paying you to be here and gives you the opportunity to make friends and make connections and make it easier to get into the country. And the other option, of course, is to get an au pair visa and to come over here as an au pair, live with a family, and that's again mostly for women, but come over here, live with a family, learn French, and again make connections while you're legally working here in France and figure it out from there. If you don't want either of those two things, the best visa I think you can get, and honestly I think this is a better route if you're up for it, is a student visa because you can work 20 hours a week as well. So you go to school, get a degree, and work 20 hours a week, and then if you get your master's while you're here, theoretically at least, you can transition into an entrepreneur visa. You can work your way towards getting a work visa by getting your education here. And working 20 hours a week, if you're free to work 20 hours a week, there are actually a lot of good opportunities for you here and that as well. So there's some good options and opportunities as well. I probably should have put those helpful hints in at the beginning, but if you made it this far, consider it your reward for listening to me blather on for so long. I'm really hungry, which is why I'm stumbling over my words. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish making some ravioli right now and eat because it's also affecting my attitude. And I'm very frustrated with a couple of things in life right now, and it's only coming out more because I haven't eaten. So I hope this was helpful for you today. I hope you enjoyed our little chat about teaching English in France. If you have questions, of course, you can put them in the comments below. I will do my best to answer them. And obviously, if there's a consensus among the curious, then I could probably make a video about something else along the way as well. I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope that everything's going well for you today. And I hope this ravioli tastes really good because I'm really hungry and I haven't tried it before. This is poulet à la paysanne. So it's chicken with bacon, I'm guessing. Oh, and mozzarella. I'm ready for that. Okay, anyways, we'll see you tomorrow.